What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and this is our live session for New York. Listen, looks like we are seeing, let's start from the very beginning. What do we have happen overnight? We just had the
What's
official
going on,
GDP
everyone? This is
of the
Jordan
US
with Conquer Trading
for
and
this quarter
Investing, and
come
this is
in
our live
as
session
expected. We're seeing the
for
dollar
New
a little
York.
bit bid.
Listen, looks like
See
we
here,
are
the dollar
seeing,
has
let's
come
start from
out
the very
overnight
beginning.
ever since the Fed.
What do we have
Here
happen overnight? We
yesterday,
just had
it's come back down.
what's
Official
going on, everyone?
GDP
This is
of the
Jordan with
US.
Conquer Trading
So
and
far, quarter
Investing, and
come
this
in
is our live
as
session
expected. We're seeing the
for
dollar a
New
little
York.
bit retrace.
Listen,
Has been
looks
the
like
GDP.
we
Here,
are
the dollar
seeing,
has
let's start
now
from the very
overnight
beginning.
ever since the Fed.
What do we have happen overnight? We just had the what's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and this is our live session
We're seeing the
for
dollar
New
a little
York.
bit retrace.
Listen, looks like we are seeing, let's start from the very beginning.
Ever since the Fed.
What do we have happen overnight? We just had the what's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and this is our live session for New York. Listen, looks like we are seeing, let's start from the very beginning. What do we have happen overnight? We just had the what's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and this is our live session for New York. Listen, looks like we are seeing, let's start from the very beginning. What do we have happen overnight? We just had the what's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and this is our live session for New York. Listen, looks like we are seeing, let's start from the very beginning. What do we have happen overnight? We just had the what's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and this is our live session for New York. Listen, looks like we are seeing, let's start from the very beginning. What do we have happen overnight? We just had the what's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and this is our live session for New York. Listen, looks like we are seeing, let's start from the very beginning. What do we have happen overnight? We just had the what's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and this is our live session for New York. Listen, looks like we are seeing, let's start from the very beginning. What do we have happen overnight? We just had the what's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and this is our live session for New York. Listen, looks like we are seeing, let's start from the very beginning. What do we have happen overnight? We just had the what's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and this is our live session for New York. Listen, looks like we are seeing, let's start from the very beginning. What do we have happen overnight? We just had the what's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading.
I apologize about that, everyone. I apologize. Sorry about that. I got to do a couple of different things here. I have to get the chat window into our live stream so that I could see it as I'm talking. And sorry about that. I do apologize. Let's start over. Let's start from the very beginning. We have the DXY so far today, this morning, and you can see ever since the Fed, the FOMC, has traded off down into the support. And right now, this support is holding. Dollars so far over the last half hour caught a little bit of a bid. You could see that if we come down to the 5-minute, this was over the GDP, this quarter's GDP for the US coming in as expected. Okay, so the dollar caught a little bit of bid there. What's going to happen the rest of this session? We have to watch whether or not we take another look down at the support. If the support holds, I'm not sure. Later on the calendar, though, today, we do have at 11 o'clock a.m. the World Health Organization press conference. There's the possibility that that does set off a further risk off tone to the market. Now we're seeing that continue in the Japanese yen pairs. We could see another further leg down there, but that also could bring dollar strength. So we're going to watch this area with interest. Right now, we're making lower lows. So we still have this this weakening tone to the dollar, but dollar's strong, dollar's broken out. This is just a retrace back into this heavy area of which should now be support. So it's really important to see how price reacts around it. Here on the Euro US dollar, Again, here's the Fed, and we've come off not too hard, not too heavy, and we're coming towards this first area of resistance. This is a light resistance. I'm more interested in the area up here. If we're able to get all the way up here, this is where between these two levels, I'm interested in leaning in to definitely look for a short. Over here, I'm hoping we pop above, but I'm not sold on it yet. The Bank of England held rates. They held steady, and they said that there are hopeful signs that the economy is stabilizing. Now, pound is definitely very bid on that. You could see the move on the pound, but it's come back up towards this resistance. So what does that mean? Well, right now, until you get above this resistance, I think you're neutral. You have to get below this trend line support right now, and you're just in the middle right now, in order to look to maybe start selling. But more specifically, you need to get below this. Once you get below this support over here, then at that point it opens up the door for selling. So right now, unless you were holding long, if you were holding long, I'm not sure if you are still holding that or took profits up towards this resistance over here. I'm neutral right now. It's got to prove itself to the upside above this resistance to look at seeing further signs of appreciation. Otherwise, let's see if it rolls over to the downside. Just to confirm, guys, we're not looping anymore, right? All right, thanks, appreciate it. Bitcoin continues to look super solid again, above 91 and consolidating over here. Looks super good. It looks like it's going to break out to the upside. Tomorrow is the CMC futures settlement date. Normally, you see Bitcoin sell off into that. It's not happening yet, and it normally is happening by now. So that's a pretty bullish sign over here. Let's see what continues to develop. Don't look to buy tops over here. If you do get a breakout, look for the opportunity to get in by looking for a retest and resumption. But at the same time, a breakout over here under these circumstances, I would not be surprised to see it pop. All the way up here as the next area of interest at about 10,350, but more so getting up towards 10,775. So Bitcoin has been bid. Again, I only expect it to be trading around 11,400 going into the halving. That's still 4 months away. So even if it does get ahead of itself, I don't think it's going to remain so. We'll see. Good. So again, going back to the DXY, I'm very unsure of what the next move is over here. The euro, if it clears above this resistance, that's going to be a little bit of a telltale sign. But to be honest, I'm not looking to sell this resistance over here. If we start breaking down to new lows, that would be a different story. Then I'd be excited about shorting euros versus dollars. But right over here, it has the possibility of consolidating until it could break above this local resistance over here, and then let's see if it comes into something a little bit more with a lot more supply to it to see how it acts. But so far the dollar is keeping the pressure on. Australian dollar is super weak. Once again, this is what was our base case. This is kind of where our layup was for the ease. And although the central bank is no longer expected to be cutting rates next week, they're still expected to be very dovish. If there is a surprise cut because they want to get ahead of it, you're going to see this obviously sell off pretty hard. At that point, QE will come into the picture, but this is risk off right now. This is tied to the Chinese economy, and things are not yet even stabilizing there. You can see that also on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. We are below the support now over here, and as long as we're below this broken support, which is now resistance, this remains a heavy sell. I'm curious to see whether or not the WHO press conference today puts further pressure on this, which is what I'm looking for. We see that also playing out here. This is one we were looking at, the euro Australian dollar, and again, just weak Australian dollar was one of the easier plays in the market of late, and is continuing to play out. What's going on, Steve? Everyone, good to see you guys, all of you. Nima, Blair, it's at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Eastern time, so we'll be on for it. It's obviously a super important. I think it's the event of the day, but really we have to watch what's going on here technically, and you could see. I want to see ever since the GDP came in, we've come off the lows, but are now kind of in between. All right. There's not much of an edge that I see right now. I'm watching intently to see what happens over in this area, whether or not this resistance holds over here. This resistance holds over here. That's pretty bearish on the euro US dollar. So I'm watching it closely. All right. Again, Australian dollar, US dollar remains very bearish, taking out with a weaker dollar, taking out support levels over here. So if we do see the dollar, firm up over here off this support, start making higher highs, Australian dollar is going to continue, it looks like, to get smoked. US dollar, Japanese yen. So we're just holding down near support. So over here after the press conference, it looked like we had a little bit of an edge towards the Japanese yen, and why that's played off. You got still two strong currencies battling it out. Again, I expect the World Health Organization escalates the situation, and if they do, I think we see a little bit more Japanese yen strength. We'll see what happens. Nice. We were looking for this also. This is one of the just seems to be one of the easier how would you describe, just one of the easier periods to be seeing the market. We were looking here, US dollar, Swiss franc, for the Swiss franc to come off there after the FOMC. That's come off nicely. All right, this becomes interesting now. Looking at the pound Canadian dollar, and this is so far. Now, remember, here you want to look at the daily time frame, and you want to wait and to see that this resistance is broken on the daily time frame. All right. If it closes above there today, then I think you have the possibility definitely of looking for some longs here on the pound Canadian dollar. This becomes of interest to watch as it develops further in the day. I'll come back to it. Wow. Wow. Now, pound Australian dollar is challenging the highs here, and it looks like this is going to continue. Now, we said as long as this holds, this is really bullish, but there's no way that I would have got into this trade. There's no way, even if I was stalking it, that I could have got into this trade. This is one that would have just got away without ever me being able to get into it. And that was because with the interest rate decision of the Bank of England, there was no opportunity away from me to get into that. And you could see what happened since. It's just taken off. I think that there's a really good chance this continues. And you got a ways to go here before you get some good real resistance. I think this is going to continue to really go over there. And again, that's because I think we're going to continue to see Australian dollar weakness in the market. Pound Japanese yen, I'm still holding it. I wish I would have taken profits. My Australian dollar Japanese yen is such in profit that uh, I'm still holding it, hoping that the WHO today ignites some further Japanese strength, which negates this today. But I'm not gonna lie, if I was awake during the London session and was able to take profits down here, I wish I would have had the foresight and been able to do that. It would have been a fantastic trade. Nevertheless, I just so everyone know, I'm still in this trade with my stop at break even. Let's take a look at all those. We'll start with in order, the New Zealand dollar, the US dollar. We're below this broken support over here on the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Uh, this is very similar to the Australian dollar. I think the Australian dollar is weaker than the New Zealand dollar, so the New Zealand dollar should be gaining versus the Australian dollar. But we'll check that next in 1 second. And I think that we continue further downside over here. Again, this is tightly linked to the Asian economy. This is in the same region. Australia is suffering. New Zealand will suffer. China's suffering. They both suffer. And if dollar strength comes back into the market, there's look. I think there's a strong chance that we come back down and we're testing this support area over here. You know, when I don't know. Sometime relatively soon. Um, what does that look like on the New Zealand dollar, Australian dollar? Sorry, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Pretty tight. All right, so you have two weak currencies battling them out. There is no edge over here whatsoever. All you're looking at is two weak currencies battling themselves out. Play weakness versus strength. Don't play strength versus strength. Don't play weakness versus weakness. Look for strength versus weakness. And let's check out the euro, Japanese yen. This is also remains under pressure. Um, huh. I mean, we got a lot of sideways action over here. The euro has strengthened, but the Japanese yen is still stronger. You know, I just feel in this environment, just so much easier money to be made by playing what's weak, what's strong. What's strong is definitely Japanese yen, Swiss franc, US dollar, weak, New Zealand dollar, Australian dollar. This, you know, it's a little bit tough. It's a little bit sideways, right? And you get below this support over here, there could be much further downside. You know, depending on what develops, if the situation at any point turns in China, and it looks like the Chinese have it under control, or it looks like it's just going to be contained inside China and it's not spreading or around the world. Um, you know, then maybe the Japanese yen strength will start to dissipate. But right now that's not happening. It is possible we break a leg down. Until you're above this resistance over here, I would not even think about taking a long. It the it just doesn't seem very like you have many odds in your favor leaning into this support down here, which is support and it is consolidating, but it's consolidating after a big leg down. And consolidating after a big leg down could lead to another leg down. So I'd be cautious here. All right. I need a 30-second break here. All right. All right. I'm back. We're ready to go. Let's check that out. And I also want to see the US dollar, Canadian dollar. Whew. We took out another support level over here. We're trading down below it. Uh, Japanese yen is so strong, and I just want to definitely just share my insight. It doesn't make it's a very low probability trading against strength. The fact is, by trading with strength, you're going to have many more winning trades than if you were to trade against strength. And sure, you could get that occasional trade where you trade counter trend and you actually catch a huge spike and it works out in your favor, but that's low probability. Interesting. US dollar, what is the dollar doing right now? Dollar is actually weakening, but stronger than the Canadian dollar. That's not a good sign. We have some pretty strong resistance up here. All right. So as we continue floating up over here, let's see what happens if we get a look over there. I think you got to get down below this two resistance over here. I mean, first this one, but then specifically this one to look to be shorting this at this point. Now up in here, I think we could take a look at a short. If we break above there, the tone changes completely on the US dollar, Canadian dollar, and I think that we get above this resistance over here. That would be this breakout of this trend line and above this resistance. At that point, I think the view on the Canadian dollar changes and the US dollar becomes long bias versus Canadian dollar. Right now, I think we still have opportunity here to take another look at a short. But if the dollar holds the support here, and if the dollar comes up and winds up testing this resistance and eventually taking it out, we're going to see a big trend change here on the Canadian dollar. We've already seen it happen on the Australian dollar. We've lost it. Not only did we lose it, we've broken this support down here. So just reverse that. Invert that in your mind. Here's the big trend line, and here's that big support that was just taken out on the Australian dollar. If we lose this on the Canadian dollar, it's the same thing as losing this support here, which we've lost now. And you just have to be really focusing on further Australian dollar weakness here as we lose this important level. There is the distinct possibility we're challenging these yearly lows within the next week, right? Let's see what happens on Monday with the Central Bank of Australia. Oh, Blair. Okay, thank you for that. Wow. All right. It's a big level down over here. We got that support down at 51. Um, I remember, I think we were talking about, uh, well, we've been talking about the possibility of oil trading down, over, towards 30 or lower in a global slowdown. That's what's being priced in right now is the slowing Chinese economy. You this is big support down here. If things continue to get worse and we break this down, right now you have like, for example, you have factories closed down in China everywhere. You have basically every US business has closed down their offices in China. You have Starbucks closed down everything. I mean, all the cities are really just not producing. And a lot of them, a sizable portion of the country is actually in quarantine on lockdown. Um, China accounts for 20% of the global growth. Um, the it just looks a little bit scary right now. I think the easier play though is Japanese Shin strength. Again, anything out of the ordinary happens here in the Middle East. You could see a spike up in oil. Any spike on oil will be an opportunity to sell. DJ, I wish you were holding your position from over here all the way down. So we are getting close right now to the U.S. Open. Let's check in on stocks in a second. But right now, the dollar so far is firmed up a little bit since the GDP, but not yet trading at the high since. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Stocks are down. This was the FOMC. Stocks are down, not yet making new. If it start making lower lows than Tuesday, and we could go down much further. Tesla's loving it though. Yep. Pound, Japanese yen, you have strength versus strength. So where's the weakness? Obviously, pound Australian dollar, pound New Zealand dollar, pound Canadian dollar. What else is strong? Japanese yen, Swiss franc, U.S. dollar is taking a little bit of a breather today. I'm curious to see what develops and plays out there. Gold maintaining its bid, silver way outperforming today. Down here was the FOMC. Silver's been a bullet since. Strength versus weaknesses. Weakness versus weakness, we're not interested in. Australian dollar, Japanese yen, weakness versus strength, right? Play the strength versus the weakness, especially when it's obvious, right? And this was our base case all week. Sell any rallies. We talked about if we got a rally up into here, sell it, right? Man, I don't have too much of insight I could offer you there. To be honest, the only thing that I can say is, well, our levels have been fantastic technically to trade around. That's the one good thing, and you're buying off support. But so right now, I think global growth is in a little bit of a precarious situation, and I think personally the best thing to do is watch two things. Watch inside China the daily numbers of those infected, of those that have the virus, and the deaths. And as long as those continue progressing at the rate they are, things are looking, and those are the official numbers, which no one believes. The official numbers are growing exponentially. And as long as that continues, until you see a sign that that has peaked, once you see a sign that has peaked, that might be the opportunity to come in there and trade against the oil, trade against the yen. But we don't know when that's going to stop. The best case I've heard, like the most optimistic case, is that somewhere around February the 10th, we could see a peak. All right, so that's still a little. That's a couple of weeks away, 10 days away, 2 weeks of trading. And then the second thing you want to look for is, globally, to see if the virus continues to grow and spread. If we start getting person to person like we did in Germany only once, but if we start seeing person to person spreading of the virus, that's a very bad sign. Ideally, we would like to see this just contained within China, and then China get it under control. Then you could step in and take the oversold trades and look for growth to stabilize. But until you start seeing that first sign, watch the cases. Until you start seeing that first sign, um, just I caution everyone. All right. What else we're going to focus in on today? Euro, New Zealand dollar. We were watching it down here. It's coming now up and towards some resistance. This resistance line should be actually a little lower. But I would not be taking this counter trend trade. Trading off of this resistance at this point is super counter trend. This is the situation where you have momentum behind moves. It's not just normal, trading with markets trying to figure out where to go. This is a move that has momentum behind it. Uh, Not a good idea to step in front of it. What I would be doing is, I don't know if is anyone in this trade. If you were, I'd be watching how price reacts over here. I wouldn't take profit. If price busts through here, you're going to continue holding this to much higher levels. But if price does get rejected over here, then you could look at perhaps taking profit, waiting to see if you break above here, and then getting long here. There's the possibility that this resistance just gets blown out. Very good insight, Martine. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. This is in jeopardy right here, and this should be a. Let me draw this support line in over here. Now that we're trading down at it, and it looks like it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna hold. All right. So this is one of the easier situations in the market to trade when you have momentum, um, and it's been clear all week, right, since Friday. Take advantage. All right. Australian dollar, Swiss franc. This looks terrible. This looks like it's about to burst as well. We could trade much lower here, much lower, right? I mean, I can't imagine picking a bottom here in the Australian dollar. Things don't look good. Looks like dollar's firming up a little bit here on the opening. This is just the opening. Um, and ever since the GDP print, dollar's firmed up a little bit, but it has not yet shown that it's reversing yesterday's moves. Why the dollar is firming? The euro is holding up okay, right? But as Martin just said, the euro is looking stronger than most, but not really versus the dollar. Nice, Fred. The good thing about being short the Australian dollar, US dollar, is dollar's been weak today, not in the last 45 minutes, not in the last hour, excuse me. And during that time, the why the dollar was weak, it was stronger than the Australian dollar. So if the dollar catches bid here, right? If the dollar actually starts getting bid, and by bid I mean, reversing out of here and taking a look at yesterday's highs of the FOMC, the Australian dollar is just going to get toasted. Um, so I noticed that it's been weaker than silver today. Silver has actually been on fire and coming off a little bit. I think there's definitely weaker opportunities than gold at the moment. Gold's unchanged on the day. The euro looks like it's slipping to the lows of New York session right now. Nice. New Zealand dollar. US dollar short, also same thing as the Australian dollar, US dollar. You're playing something that has been very, very has been weaker than a weak dollar, overnight. So again, the dollar turns and strengthens, and it's going to get toasted. What was your TP? 644. That would be a fantastic trade. It looks like you have a beautiful trade going on. And in between here and here, as long as this broken support holds as resistance, any opportunity to come in here and add to that position on the way down looks like a solid play. There you go. Gold's coming off even a little bit more now. Euro is, putting up a little bit of a fight. Our pound now coming down to an important area. Holds above here, things are looking better. It loses this level, and I guess this is more of a US dollar story right now than a pound story, as the pound came up into this resistance over here, because the dollar has been firming up so far. Question is, what happens as the dollar tests its first important level? By important level, I mean ever since it's been breaking down, this is the first time it's taking a look back up towards the first area of resistance. So we're going to find out pretty soon what price does over here. Now, we got two people selling gold this morning. Gold so far is come up and tested this area of support, light support, but it's the same thing as the US dollar with this resistance over there. Plunge protection team active this morning. Let's see what they do the last half hour of trading today. So my biggest unknown of the current situation is what is going to happen with the World Health Organization and what they're going to do. It's a big factor. Um, if they do not, if they say that the condition is under control and they believe China's ability, to fight it, uh, and they don't escalate, to an emergency situation, I think that there's a really, really good chance that we see some really sharp profit taking across the board on Japanese yen, Australian dollar. We go from risk off to risk on probably pretty quickly. If they do escalate, I think we see another leg down in risk. So very important event on the calendar today. And I guess there's really no way of knowing what they're going to do. Don't forget, they are facing heavy pressure from the Chinese government. Came in hot and quick. Let's see. Break it down here really quick onto the 5 minute time frame. So this is when they kept rates on hold, and most of the move happened obviously in the first 10 minutes. So really, buy stop is the only way you could have got involved in that trade. Dollar continues to firm ever since the GDP, but is coming in again. This is the first area of resistance ever since the FOMC yesterday. So this will be the big tell. Get above here, and dollar strength could definitely continue. Big resistance up there. Again, the for the to get bullish the pound, you got to clear above that resistance. Let's see here the dollar. Again, this is just important to be watching right now, what the dollar does off of this resistance. Yen strengthening up. I think Martin gave the best assessment of the euro. It's strong versus basically everything else. Even versus the yen. It's unchanged on the day. So there's really no edge over there. And that's with the yen so strong, can you imagine that the euro is unchanged? It's a pretty good sign for the yen. It has slightest gains ever versus the dollar. Dollar's a little bit weaker today, but remains strong versus a lot of other things outside the pound. Making big gains versus the Australian dollar, making big gains versus the New Zealand dollar. This looks, we lose this support down here. This looks ugly. Canadian dollar also very, very weak today. US dollar gaining against the Canadian dollar. Going back to oil over here, just real quick, FedEx has just come out and said, and FedEx is a really good barometer of growth because they are obviously shipping across the world. They said it looks like the peak of global growth for now appears behind us. Bigger picture on gold. I would gather we're testing down towards $30 within the next 2 years. The tough thing about trading gold is the Middle East. I mean, sorry, by trading oil. Euro's doing its best to try to get a foothold here. It's got a lot of work still to do. It's got to get above this resistance up here to really look like it's got a chance at making a leg up. What's Tesla doing? Wow. Holy cow. What just happened to Tesla and why? Shorts are getting toasted today. Continues the parabolic advance. They probably just bought Toyota. Oh my goodness. And to think this looked like such a good shorting opportunity. It really did. Tesla defying gravity. Really? Tesla had earnings? 3055. Right back into this trend line support. All right, DXY is being rejected by this first resistance, but it's still neutral. We're halfway between. We're not even. We're This is the low since the GDP print. This is the high. It's still towards the top half yet, but so far ran into a little bit of trouble. Euro barely bid. Yeah, I deleted Facebook. Not because of the product. Well, when I found out that I was the product. Yeah, there you go. If anyone has never seen the Oliver Stone's Snowden movie, it is phenomenal. So highly recommend it. It is absolutely phenomenal. All right, next week, my goal is to do a lot more research. Again, I've sat down twice and looked into it, which is a lot, and trying to figure out how to do the live streaming on a Mac where I'm able to go ahead and add the chat and things like that. Wasn't so easy. I'll spend more time with it. I think it would add definitely to the experience here for us. Oliver Stone. What's going on, Benedict? Yeah, Oliver Stone, the one who did JFK. He did a phenomenal job with Snowden. It was the second time I saw it, I understood a lot more. Actually, it was it should be required viewing for everybody. Let's check in here. What is gold's just battling out. Everything's kind of settled in a little bit. Euro's trying to take another look here, trying his hardest to take another look here towards his highs. I don't know what happens later today, to be honest. with the press conference with the World Health Organization, that could easily put us back onto to risk off. Panera, I didn't see the earnings. If you send a link through the YouTube, make sure to separate the link. For example, take off the www, separate the .com, and then like the chart. Vicky, the euro Australian dollar looks like a home run on the buy side. Wait, Vicky, are you short this trade? I think you said buy. Are you short this trade? Yeah. I mean, Vicky. So this has potential to go much higher. To be honest, if you're in this trade, I would look to get out like right now at market and just take the small loss instead of this becoming something that really get away with you. I know Zoran yesterday said that he wanted to trade against me here and short this. I don't think that was a good idea. Again, as long as we're above this level over here, that is really bullish. And it looks like the euro is pretty strong today, and the Australian dollar is just super weak. And I don't see either one of those changing anytime soon. And I mean, you're in the trade, and it's your decision what you do with it. And of course, you're near this resistance over here, but it looks like you're breaking out above. And um, although there could be retraces at any time, I wouldn't be betting on a retrace here. This looks really bullish. Um, Now the euro's got definitely a little bit of spunk in it today. So, it is. So the easier play, I mean, you're doing a lot of work. You have a potentially good trade on your hands. You get above these two areas, and then your life is a lot easier. It becomes a higher probability trade than down here, right? You could sell the resistance. Um, yeah, I mean, I understand you're trading it off the fib, and I see that, and it could definitely work out. And yet, definitely the euro is putting up a fight today. It looks good. Uh, there's the potential here to be reversing 100% for me, and it's different than you. You're playing off the fib, and I don't know what time frame you're also trading off of. Uh, so let's put it this way: if out of your trade setup you get above these levels, hold on because things look pretty good. Yeah, great trade. not only like, again, euros looks pretty solid today, and if that continues, this could turn out into being not only a good trade, but it could potentially be a pretty good trade. Again, no, it's hard to get out of a trade when it's the wrong trade, but um, everything seems to be pointing in this to being a bullish bias trade. I need to take a look at it because obviously the New Zealand dollar is weak, but Canadian dollar has also been weak. So definitely, it looks like here's the support line. Definitely looks like the downside momentum is going to continue here. Um, I definitely think so we were looking at this here, right? This is, did I do a trading view on this one? As price broke down, we didn't want to chase the trade. We were waiting for price to come back up and test this broken support as resistance, which it did, and then it's come off. And this is a big sell right now. And I think it continues. I think you have the first area to look at, as you get into the supply towards the top of it. But ultimately, it looks like we're going to come down and be testing closer to this support down over here. As long as we remain below this resistance over here, this is definitely a strong sell with definitely a Canadian dollar bias. Panera, it's ridiculous. I'm so sorry. Got to figure out a way that we could pass links also. Um, could you send it to me here on TradingView, the link, and then I'll pull it up for everyone? Or I could post it in there then. Or if you send it to my Twitter, I'll go ahead and post it in the chat. I mean, I get why YouTube does that. Can you imagine the amount of links sent in live streams that are just spams and or scams? But it's frustrating. You should be able to clear people. Euro now looking at, take another look towards the high of the day and the resistance. Looks like there we go, Hanero. Silver is just leading the way today. Sorry about that. The trouble and getting that done in there. I appreciate you taking the extra steps there for us. Australian dollar, Japanese yen pushing the lows of the day once again. Is the Australian dollar, US dollar following? It is. Again, that's even with the dollar weakening over the last 10 minutes. It's still outperforming the Australian dollar, which is just so weak. The pound also is, hold on, stabilizing right now with the dollar weakening a little. So the pound's strength though has definitely come off. So just a couple of things about Tesla anyway that are pretty interesting. Uh, Look at that thing go. So that really, they're saying there's super demand for the Cybertruck, which I get. It totally looks like an awesome car. Um, Now they just opened their plant in China in Shanghai. So not only must that be causing some problems, but this is affecting the Chinese and the Chinese economy. And what type of demand there's going to be for electric vehicles over there at this moment, that's tough to factor in. And more importantly, people that are looking to buy electric vehicles, from what I've seen, they're looking more towards the Porsche, and there's some other makes and models as well that actually, it's not a Tesla, but it's actually probably a better product than a Tesla. So the Tesla has a lot of competition now from the traditional car makers, and I'm still a Tesla bear, and I'm still interested in possibly shorting this sometime this year. And if and when I do, I will definitely let you all know. Reb, nice play. Very nice play. And so basically what you're looking at also though is you're just looking at a synthetic of the euro Australian dollar, which is, you can see it right here, your trade. All right. Um, and this is the setup that we were looking at over the last 2 days. Like, Heath, man, I thought this was the blow off top over here, but yeah, now we're over here. So, why I agree with you, it's tough standing in front of that thing. This is obviously much more tempting now. Um, let's see. Maybe, what are the odds? Things don't look good for equities. That's a good sign for shorting it here. What are the odds that we gap up again tomorrow? Everything's kind of stabilized. Let me show. So we're now about hour and a half since the GDP. Everything seems to be stabilized right now. I didn't. I have not traded stocks in a long, probably I would in a long time. I can't even remember. And I am interested as we're getting so for me it's a big question of global liquidity. I have traded the S&P. It's a big question of central bank liquidity, and it looks like at least through April that's going to continue. But I don't think they're going to be able to end the repo. I think it's going to become official full blown QE. So what that means for stocks is a different story. Uh, I don't buy Tesla at these valuations. At this valuation, again, they could just go out and buy Toyota today, can't they? Or Volkswagen. I mean, it doesn't. But this looks like a parabolic top to me. Like, and like Heath was just saying, a blow off top. This is going to end in, and I would like to see some of the amount of shorts on Tesla is enormous, and I would love to see a good portion of the float just get blown out. At that point, I would feel very comfortable in shorting it. Again, timing is everything. So if and when I do it, it's going to be looking for the best possible moment. But I wonder how many of them got blown out yesterday. I saw some statistics on the amount of the float short Tesla, and it's enormous. Panera, I'll definitely do that. Thanks for sharing that video. Let me just share it right here for everyone. And I know many Tesla owners are really, really happy with their car. They just love it. That's for sure. But I know people looking to buy electric cars, and I know they're not looking at Teslas. And Tesla didn't have competition before. They have competition now. Nice, Reb. I mean, Jerome Powell mentioned yesterday in the press conference that, or in the statement, that we are currently in the largest expansion in the history of the stock market, right? And the market cycle doesn't go away; it's still there. And when this ends, it's going to end badly. The question is how long does it go on before it ends? And if we're just in early 1999 and there's another year of this, we could see some dizzying levels before this ends. You know? There's the age old wisdom when your Uber driver is giving you stock tips every time you get in the car. That's a good sign that we're near the top. Ooh, let's take what happened ever since the trade deal was announced. Was that uh, sell the news, so to speak? 1 hour, you said? Let me take a look at the 1 hour here. Yep, I see it. So, to be honest, on a head and shoulders, I would like to see or did we already break the neckline then? Let me put in a trend line over there. I think we already broke the neckline. Oh yeah. Is that what you're looking at? Because that's the way I see it, and that looks really good. So the narrative that also that like Tesla's been giving is that the autopilot is supposed to be so good that you could kind of like you could Uber out your car and make money on your Tesla, right? So you can imagine leasing a Tesla or financing a Tesla and then using the autopilot to go ahead and run Uber runs. Um, but the thing is that they've been charging and selling for the autopilot, which was supposed to be working by now, and it's not. And obviously these things are extreme, super engineering feats that take time, but hundreds, hundreds, hundreds. Guys, Bitcoin looks pretty good here. Again, tomorrow's the CME future settlement. Uh, I would not be surprised if it happens beforehand. Watch out if it breaks this resistance. I would not be surprised after the CME futures break settle for this to pop. It looks like it's popping. Um, Above 91 is super bullish as it consolidates towards the highs here. Looks super good. And that's not my base case. I would not expect my base case is over here in the yellow, right? With Bitcoin trading around 11,400. But you could see here during during this portion of the halving last cycle, and it did break out to the upside ahead of time. So, there's the possibility it trades up, but it's not until really 3 to 6 months after the halving that things get parabolic. DXY is now coming off a little bit, going back towards the lows before the US GDP was announced, with the euro taking another look here towards the highs of the day. Australian dollar is still in the other lows of the day, with the Australian dollar, Japanese yen making new lows of the day here. I assume that's also the Australian dollar, Swiss franc. Close to it. Heath, Heath, I have to tell you all this story that happened this morning as I was getting my 6.5-year-old ready for school, and they have to, like, Tuesdays and Thursdays do current events. So I was telling her, okay, there's this guy who built this company called SpaceX, and they're able to launch rockets into space and then land them and reuse them, which helps not only save money but also helps the environment. And I said he's also really he's the first person ever to create an electronic vehicle. And yesterday they launched 60 satellites into space to build the Starlink, which they connect each other, providing Wi-Fi up in space. I didn't say it's down for the Earth, but Wi-Fi up in space. And when I told her that he built these rockets that bring that could bring things up into space and then come back down and then land where they were launched from so they could be reused again, she was like, that's incredible engineering. And it's phenomenal engineering. Or maybe I said that's phenomenal engineering. And she was like, no, really, Dad, that is really phenomenal engineering. And Elon Musk is absolutely brilliant. There's no question about it. But that does not mean he knows how to run a company. And we'll see in the end what is happening with Tesla and what happened, right? You could be a genius and still fail at business, 100%. And I think Elon Musk is not only a genius but a benefit to humanity. And I hope and wish him great success. Um, I'm not so sure whether or not that ultimately he's betting on the success of SpaceX, right? We'll see what happens with Tesla. Maybe Tesla gets bought out one day by one of the other car makers. Maybe they want their Tesla's technology. I don't know, but I do know that this doesn't look right. Just because he can. I was an even bigger fan of Elon until he came out that he believes that we're living in a simulation, and he kind of lost me there. Can you imagine being that guy who could say he did that? Look, the Australian dollar, Japanese yen is continuing to trade down with big pressure here. Um, what's the pound doing? Pound is firming off so far off of this support. I didn't change it to support yet, only because I want to see at the end of the day where we close. Yen's trading with a bit of a bid all around. You can see that playing out here against the dollar. And the character, right? Tony Stark was actually Elon Musk was used to create Tony Stark, which is he is the real life Iron Man. So what do you got? What do you all think? I was wondering if the new Cybertruck, which looks so cool, uh, if the current trend continues, where this growing divide between everyone and everyone, right? But could you picture there being like people that drive a Cybertruck? Could you picture these Antifada and other you know crazies like attacking them? Would the Cybertruck be some type of like show of wealth that there then would be some type of repercussions against if things continue to escalate over the next couple of years? Yeah, I was also just trying to do a little bit of research into the emergency meeting by the World Health Organization today, just trying to get a feeling of what they're going to be, to what the result of that's going to be, whether or not they just continue to exercise caution or declare an emergency. and it's just such a huge event later today because risk on and risk off is just so affected on either side. So I'm really concerned about that. I'm not sure. We have tonight the manufacturing numbers out of China, and I feel like already whatever the result is, this has kind of already been reflected in the market because the market's already been looking at a slowdown in China, right? So if these numbers come in better than expected, then the market's going to say, well, we know that's going to change. And if they come in lower than expected, the market's going to say, well, we've already priced that in. Um, the Canadian dollar, sorry, out of Canada, we have GDP tomorrow. I think the central bank is focused in on the consumer, right? So I don't think this number is that important. I think that any retail and consumer numbers that come out of Canada in the upcoming weeks are very important to watch. And everything else, seems to be just moderate risk. You have GDP numbers out of Spain, CPI numbers. That I don't know how that's going to affect the euro. Um, I don't think anything else is really that important on the calendar. I think the most important thing is the WHO press conference today and what they decide to do. And to be honest, they could go either way. For sure, they're feeling pressure from the Chinese government, and you know, if you're following it, the cases and deaths are growing exponentially. It's a good sign things are not transmitting person to person yet outside of China, with the exception of that one case in Germany. Uh, you know, the people who are trying to get you not to be concerned or follow what's happening are quick to note that more people died in the U.S. of the flu last year. Um, but at the same time, you have a cruise ship in Italy of 6,000 people quarantined right now. Um, I don't know if anyone has a little bit more concrete feelings or insight than I do about what the whose move is going to be today. That's the biggest thing we're facing, and again, it could provide another leg down in risk, or it could really provide a pop really quick. If the WHO comes out and doesn't escalate the situation, uh, we could come back up and be testing this trend line or even to this resistance relatively quickly. I wouldn't be surprised. So it's a tough one. I mean, I said I hope so, but I hope they do because by declaring emergency, that's really going to help. The thing is you want to get in front of things before they get out of hand, right? Not wait until they're too bad to then address them. How high do I think this can go? Um, I think the Australian dollar is, been talking about this for a few days now, is the most in danger of continued weakness, and that could persist for a long time. Uh, you could see again, this is so tightly tied right now to the press conference and what they do. Um, the risk is why I think that the Australian dollar will continue to depreciate against everything and into next week. The risk is that if they don't declare an emergency, then you could see the Australian dollar retrace all these moves really quickly. So it's not easy. There's nothing easy about the current situation in trading right now. You have what I perceive to be a high impact news event coming up, and why they should make it an emergency because it's a world emergency. I don't underestimate the power of the Chinese government, uh, and the president of the WHO met with Premier Z yesterday, and on his Twitter he's got a photo of him, and it's like he's meeting a celebrity, right? And I have no idea. I'm always worried about risk and where the risk is, and there's no sure thing. Taking a look over here. The euro Australian dollar must be getting toasted. Oh, Aurelian, in France, the virus was spread person to person. That's, I mean, that's bad news. What's going on, Ultra? Australian dollar is getting smacked around again. This has been our base case, that this support was going to give, and then when it gave, we're coming down, testing these lows down here. I think we got lower to go. The only risk here, again, is the upcoming press conference today. There's, if who declares an emergency, we could blow past these lows over here. The Central Bank of Australia is not expected to cut rates next week. They could get ahead of the curve with a surprise rate cut. And if they don't, the market's looking to when the next rate cut will be. So I can't see the Australian dollar appreciating under any circumstances right now until it's shown for a fact that the death rates and infection rates start to decrease in China. That would be the first sign, and the second sign would be you could see a pop in it today. If there's a pop in the Australian dollar today, because if by any chance the World Health Organization doesn't upgrade the situation to an emergency, I think it's an opportunity to look towards, you have resistance here and then here in this area and then again here, depending on where we go, to look to sell into. But is it the place to get short now? Well, I don't think so. I'm never for chasing moves, but I'm still holding mine. I'm short since up here, and I'm still holding mine. Dallo, there's quite the possibility that it continues to run a lot higher. There is risk today in the market. This thing looks like it could go absolutely. I think the next stop is right around 1.9855. This thing could keep running in the short term, and this thing could even go way higher than that easily. The Australian dollar is not the pair to be long at any point right now. You want to be short Australian dollars for sure. But I don't know what's going to happen today. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm worried that there's just some fancy wording about their concern without them upgrading to an emergency, and because they're influenced by the Chinese. That's my worry. I'm still short though, right? Yeah, this trade was pretty clear. Euro did pop a little bit. It's coming right now into this resistance over here. It gets above, and it looks like it's got a shot at going higher. The dollar is coming down into this support here at the same time. Um, so going through my mind too, I don't know what happens if they upgrade to an emergency, the World Health Organization. Does the dollar become beta safe haven? I don't know. I don't have the answers to these questions. I believe Blair said that it's at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'll try to check on that right now. Yeah, exactly as Blair said. It's 1:30 Eastern time. That seems like it was a dollar move, right? With the dollar weakening a bit here. So this funny little trend line that we have has been quite important and continues to be the only line that I have of use to lean off of, really. And the reason I'm keeping this one in here because any move up to here is a place to look to take profit against this trend line over here. I did have, since the FOMC, a silver position that I sold this morning. And it looks like I should have held it, but it came really far, really fast. Right? It hasn't been very common when the market lines up, but yen strength has definitely been pretty clear. Take advantage of it, and hopefully the market's opening up to more expansion. It's been contracted for so many years now. Hopefully we're opening up to an expansion period, and you have to just really be aware of when that's happening and what condition you're trading in, because you have to adjust your trading accordingly. So the euro is still holding up well versus the Japanese yen. The only reason I'm bringing that up is just to go, you have two strong pairs. The Japanese yen, I definitely give the more weight to, but the euro is strong today, and it doesn't make sense to take a trade when you're dealing with two strong pairs. So the dollar is making new lows on the session, still above this support though. Let's see what happens next. See, I mean, all day long, right? You never know what's going to happen. You always expect the support and resistance to hold, but just by having these areas here, it just makes life so much easier. As we were trading up into here, instead of just like getting emotionally long, wait a second, we're coming into this resistance. Price needs to get above it before it looks like actually there's a trend change. not that I think it is, but if you look at this as a head and shoulders, then price has already met its target. The Canadian dollar was surprisingly weak versus the dollar today. Um, I mean, my personal feeling, honestly, is that we continue to consolidate around here. That's my personal feeling. I don't know. I don't think that the gains get extended too much here. Um, Whereas the resistance is right. The next level of resistance is right above here. So my sincere guess is that we consolidate within this area over here. Now that the pound is taking advantage of this weak dollar more so than the Canadian dollar is. Let's go down to the Canadian dollar, and you can see the dollar is with this current weak dollar move over the last hour, the last 2 hours. The Canadian dollar has not made any gains on the US dollar, and the pound has. So the pound is stronger, right? And you could see it obviously trading up versus the Canadian dollar, but I don't think it's going to be I don't think there's too much more to the move to the upside. And I think at most you have towards this resistance up here. Um I don't I don't think the press conference is so much going to affect the pound Canadian dollar as it will affect any yen pairs, any Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar pair, Swiss franc, and I don't know what it's going to do to the dollar. I know that that's not much of a help, Mima, but obviously alongside bias above that support, it definitely continues to hold. But I don't think it's going to be. I'm sorry, it's Canadian dollar. Above this support, it looks very bullish, but I don't know that we're going anywhere so fast so soon. Euro pushing up now into this resistance, and the DXY taking a look down at the support. So I had to say, I mean, I was wrong about the cut here, the overnight on the Bank of England. But my concern is that the WHO does not address the situation appropriately, um, because it is an emergency that everyone needs to really be focused on. And my concern is that they're just basically like, yeah, the Chinese are doing such a good job, they're doing everything they can, and the market definitely has the risk off priced in. So any type of soft statement, I'm afraid we could see a little bit of reprieve. And I look at any, if we do get any reprieves, I look at that as just as over here on the CPI numbers. I look at it as a selling opportunity. So not easy. Awesome, DJ. So what's awesome about this is that this channel was drawn in off of these two first points connecting, and he picked the top over here, and it looked a little. Here's the green line of what he's looking to happen, and it looked a little preemptive to me, as that it was a little too soon to draw in the channel. Um, but if it worked out, then great. And look how look how well he nailed it. There was the exact top of the move. Looking at that, that is definitely resistance. Starting over there, support. Here it was resistance. Here it was support. It's a good level. Price came into the top of the channel and that resistance. He did take the short, and look at that. Awesome trade. Well, I have to say that we're down now a percent on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Let me step back here. If we come down into this support, about another 25 pips below ahead of the conference, I'm probably going to take my profits. DJ, I just did a couple of minutes with your chart. The first chart you sent me, seeing the pattern developing ahead of time, and then the pattern actually that you were envisioning happening, where your trade was working out perfectly. Fantastic trade. It was just like 3 minutes back on the live stream. Check it out. If not, after the live stream, I took a timestamp for you. I'll send it to you, so you could see that. US dollar, Canadian dollar, 200-day, and then I have my it's a little high, right? We're in an area of importance, and I'm gonna wait for and use my levels. Um, Canadian dollar's been super weak today. My concern here is that if the dollar is testing a very heavy level at the same time, you notice that, Blair? Um, with the weak dollar, the Canadian dollar has been definitely even weaker, which is a bad sign for the Canadian dollar. Plays like Euro Canadian dollar, probably definitely where to focus in on today. I'm not inclined to step in front of the Canadian dollar's weakness today, only because I am concerned this is coming back up to this level. Because I'm concerned about the weakening oil price weighing on the definitely weighing down on the Canadian dollar as well, and I don't expect that to turn around, right? I think we're going to be taking a look at the lows, and it's going to be really interesting to see whether or not the lows hold or not. If they don't, oof. So I'm not inclined to take that. Maybe up in this resistance over here. Um, as far as position sizing and how much I risk, I really get into that into the course. I get into how I take my trades, the position size, the risk to trades, on what circumstances I do what, and this is still right now actually up until Saturday, so up until Friday night, you could still get into the course for just $75 a month. But after that, the course and the signals are going to be separated. They're not going to be included as they are right now during the pre-launch. The signals will be a separate service, $100 monthly, and the course will be sold by itself. Um, Obviously, if you believe my analysis offers value, this course gets really into everything you need to know on how to trade, and I think it's a huge, enormous asset, and way over delivering in value. Also, I think it must be a bad session by the amount of likes that we got today. We're definitely down below, but that's good don't like it if it's not a good session, because it's not one that we want other people to see. Um, it's just not. It is what it is. We need to manage positions, and it's not like we're holding positions right now. So the yen continues to be super strong here. The pound is rising versus the dollar, but falling versus the yen. So let's look at the US dollar, Japanese yen. That's really come off. Let's look at some possible the next levels on the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar is also weak. I think you have this little bit of resistance here. This was resistance after it broke out. It's now the support. So I put that in a little lower. I put that down towards 0.85516. That's the next area I think you want to look at. But if I was trading this at that point, I would not take profits. I would only be moving my stop loss, locking in either some profits or to break even. And I would be waiting to see how price reacted off there. I'd be looking more towards this big heavier support over here to take profits into. That line is down around 0.8517. Dollar so far doing its best to hold the support. Euro, take another look up at this resistance over here. Heath, the definitely pound had a huge appreciation today off of the the hold. And what about the pound Australian dollar? How far did that move? I'm so interested to hear anyone who has any opinions or insight into what the World Health Organization does today. Pound Aussie. Pound Aussie, yeah, huge move. Be right back. As far as no, I'm not. When they do actually declare the emergency, I'm not sure what exactly that means. I'm more looking to how the market would react off the headline either way. If the WHO doesn't declare an emergency, when they came out last week and they said it was a moderate risk, you saw risk on snap really quick. And I'm worried about the same thing happening today. If they say that they do declare the emergency, uh, I I think the current pressure and trend definitely just continues persisting, and I'm happy holding my positions. Uh, but if they don't declare the emergency, I want to get out of my risk off positions because I think that we'll see a retrace and I could get back in. I could lean into this support. I could lean into I'm sorry, this resistance. I could lean against this resistance. or even up here. I have other opportunities to get back in. I'm just worried I'm always worried about the adverse position to my position and what could make it wrong. But I do know China is uber uh, concerned about the way the rest of the world always views them, and for sure they were exerting whatever pressure they can. We'll see. Dollar index coming in now, obviously into very big support. This step back here. Let's look at what happened. After the breakout of the bull flag over here, breakout, retest of the broken resistance as support. We've been on fire. We took out this big resistance, which is the support we're into now. Came back all the way up into here. We should definitely include now a light resistance over there, because that is definitely resistance. and now we're back down into the support. So obviously a big deal of whether or not we hold. If we don't hold here, where do we come down to? I'm looking for a level that's clear. I think it must be right around here. Actually up here at 97.58. So I want to draw that support in, have that ready. In case we do break down here. Silver on an absolute tear today. You all seem pretty quiet today. Bitcoin right here, looking to see if it's going to break out. Testing the highs. I'd be surprised to see a breakout today ahead of the future settlement tomorrow. But if we do break out today, a lot of future traders might be in trouble. We could see a big spike. A lot of extended moves right now. Losing any trader caught on the wrong side. You have to be aware that There's a big event later today, right? And of course, there's the opportunity that could get you out of there, kind of luckily, but the moves right now are extending and extended for a reason. Um, and the best thing always to do if you're in a position that you shouldn't be is to get out of it. You have to protect your capital in your account. It's very difficult to make back lost capital. So if if anyone's in a situation that they know they shouldn't be in, the best thing to do is simply get out and walk away. Come back tomorrow. The market's always going to be there, right? And much easier to use anything as a learning experience rather than getting to, what you don't want to do is take a drawdown on your account. Yeah, Hanero markets are a bit messy right now. I don't see any reason for the current market trends to alleviate unless we get a surprise today out of the World Health Organization conference. I'm rooting for the euro to break out above this resistance. Shifu, how's it going? How are you today? Anything particular that you're involved in or that you're looking at? Looks like Bitcoin is breaking out. Euro is pretty strong today. Swiss franc is also relatively strong. So let's see what's going on over there. Let's get a bigger view. Um, Again, so it's tough. The euro definitely is bid against almost everything today. It's kind of even versus the Japanese yen and also here versus the Swiss franc. Definitely making nice gains on the dollar though, and almost every other pair. Um, Looks like we could be bottoming over here. Clearly, the play was right? Severe downtrend up into resistance, take the sell off of resistance. So right now, this is on the sidelines for me. The next time that I would look at it would be that if price were to take another look either at this resistance again up here or this trend line resistance over here. If it breaks past those two, then again over here. But this isn't a downtrend, and I'm looking to sell it. And I think although the euro is strong today, overall the euro I think is continues to be in a downtrend. So if you took this trade though, if you're short this trade um, with the strong euro right now and possibly getting ready to break above a pretty big resistance, a pretty good resistance here, not big. If we get above here in the euro's got some more legs in it and should get up into here. So in the euro, Swiss franc, there could be a little bit of upside, but I wouldn't be looking to pick the bottom there and take a long, even though I think that there's a good chance it's going to trade a little bit higher from where it is right now. As far as the Australian dollar, US dollar, I mean, looks very bad. You took out this support today. You have to be short. Um, That's exactly what we were looking for to happen. You have the dollar weakening today. You see the dollar index is down 0.2% today, but the Australian dollar is down 0.6 on a weak dollar. So the Australian dollar is very weak all around. I think that the play on the Australian dollar is to sell any rallies, right? Anytime you rally into a resistance on the Australian dollar, no matter what pair you're on, under the current environment, look for it. Look for to sell off resistance. Surefire, you got both of those, right? You heard both of those? Ah, thank you. No, sorry about that. My misread of the comment, Surefire. Absolutely. Bitcoin was rejected hard. Let's look at that. Pound US dollar has had, I'm pull up a chart. Pound US dollar has seen some appreciation today, because the central bank of England actually held rates, and it still's got a little bit of work to do. I'm pull up a chart to give you a look at that. All right, here we're looking at the pound US dollar, and let me step back. This is pretty big resistance you have up here, all right? Price came down, and there's also resistance where my mouse is. I could see it pretty clearly. I'll take a look at drawing that in a minute. But price came up into this area of resistance over here. It's got to get above 1.3123 in order to me to consider taking longs on the pair. Although it appreciated pretty sharply off of the rate hold announcement, and you're seeing that reflected especially against the Canadian dollar, pound Australian dollar, pound New Zealand dollar. Huge moves today. Right now the move is stalling out a little bit, and you're in no man's land between this resistance, this trend line support. This support down here is even bigger. um it's very neutral right now. Even if you were holding a long position off of the rate announcement, um I'm not sure how you would manage that. I think I would be more on the side of taking profits, and then if you get above this resistance, looking to get into another long. Absolutely. See what happens to these. A lot of traders come in here, big sell orders. I bet, probably on the leveraged platforms. Wow. So you saw basically the top 29,835. Good job getting out of there. Good job getting out of there. Great. Great. Yeah. Very bullish, but we're into some resistance over here, and I think it's largely a dollar story, right? Does the dollar hold this support? If the dollar holds this support, I think we saw the highs of the pound today. If the dollar breaks through here, okay, then the pound has a little bit more room for the upside. Um, how much though? I'm not sure. But as far as bullish, right? I mean, well, bearish, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, bullish, Japanese yen, Swiss franc. The dollar's at a pretty important level. Euro showing signs of strength today, especially against other currencies except the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen. All right, everyone. I think this is a good place to end the live stream today. Just anyone, just a really heads up. If you've been with us, obviously you're focused on this. At 1:30 p.m. Eastern time is the World Health Organization press conference, and it is a high risk news event in the market. You're going to see risk off and risk on definitely affected by it. All right, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow.